Alright, hello everyone. So as I'm beginning this recording, the second phase of the 3.0 banner is coming out with the release of Ganyu and Kokomi banners. And so for today's video, I wanted to talk about a character that will be coming in 3.1, which is Kendake. So Kendake, along with I believe Sino, Dori, and other characters that are going to be more prevalent in 3.1, they have been released, or rather their little card things and their introduction cards have been released. So we're just going to go over Kendake's introduction card real quick and get a more deeper understanding about the basic face level understanding of who Kendake is as a person. So to start off, Kendake is deemed as a gentle and caring personality, rather than being someone who's really like upfront and aggressive, especially with the fact that it's noted that she has the power to control and summon sand. So think of someone like Gaara from Naruto, for example. So despite having this power and being a descendant of King Deshret, she's actually a very gentle and caring person based on other people's experience with interacting with her. And she currently resides in Aru village, which according to people from the Caravan Rabat is westward of that area. And one of the main things that people have noticed about her is that she lets people seek refuge so long as they don't threaten the village. So obviously, if you're someone who attempts to threaten or do schemy things in the village, she's obviously gonna throw some sand on you and you're dead. So don't play with her. But overall, she seems to be a very powerful person. And also another detail that is explained about her is her different color eyes. So I think on one side she has a blue eye, and then on the other side it's like a tan, light brownish kind of color, almost like a coffee color-ish in a way. So I think that's a pretty cool idea that they went with for her design. So now that's introduction card out of the way, so now let's get into more specific examples of people sharing their opinions about Kendake. So a lot of the people who mention Kendake are actually from the Caravan Rabat, and this is mainly because the Rabat is actually pretty close to Aru village. In fact, Aru village, like I said earlier, is directly westward from this area. So a lot of the people do trading stuff or just happen to travel back and forth from these areas because they're just relatively close to each other. Now Baharak, who's an adventurer, describes Kendake as a young lady in the village, also points out that she helps those who are lost in the desert, and she also mentions the specific detail about the fact that she has a different color in each eye, and she also says you'll know at the sight of her, meaning obviously we know what she looks like now, but a lot of the information that I wrote for this template was actually prior to Kendake being released, so I had a lot of this information beforehand. So in my eyes, I thought, okay, well, when we see her, it's like gonna be obvious because of especially because of the different color eyes. Because so far, I think she's the only character in the game that like officially has different color eyes, I think. So this is a pretty cool detail that they decided to go with her. Now, it's also mentioned that Kendake lives in Aru village. Again, this is westward of Caravan Rabat. Arshia, who's a merchant and a buyer, talks about Aru village in general. So they describe it as a simple life, traditional rules with regulations as well. It's a pretty relatively small village. They describe that everyone there is friendly, and they also exclaim to prepare to face the wrath of Kendake if you show any malice. So again, adds on and gives extra confirmation evidence to the point that as long as you don't threaten the village, you will probably be fine. And Sakura, who is a Aru village resident, talks about her missing seeing Kendake, so I'm assuming that this person happens to just stay at the Rabat for a longer time period and just simply misses being in Aru village in general. Alright, and another character that I wanted to talk about that was also mentioned in some of the dialogue that I explored in Caravan Rabat is Gohar. Now, Gohar is described as Caravan Rabat's flower, and this is described from Hawad, who is a merchant. But before I go more into what Hawad says, I'm going to talk about what Safi says, who is an Ermite mercenary. So she talks about obviously her closeness with Abak, who we also can see somewhere in the Rabat area. But she also talks about how Gohar is a lady that everyone in Caravan Rabat likes. But she also mentions that Gohar left Sumeru City after getting a letter from a dust bird. And to even go more in depth with this, Hawad, who is the merchant, says that she went to Sumeru City to look for her lover specifically. So this is really interesting. And I went to Sumeru City and tried to explore and interact with as many NPCs as I could possibly do with the time that I had on my hands, but I literally couldn't find any dialogue related to Gohar or her lover or anything related to that, which I personally find kind of strange. So maybe Gohar isn't their actual name, or maybe it was a name that was given to her. We don't really know. This is kind of just like a side character and probably an irrelevant character in general. I personally have some interest in this character because there is a lot of question marks regarding her. Now, to go more in depth, Gohar is an Armenian word, and the translations are very similar to old Armenian translations. So the literal translation, specifically in noun form, means precious stone, gem, and jewel. So this can also be figuratively used to represent or describe something that is precious, rare, or something that is valuable. And this derives from the word amenegohar, and this mainly translates to something that is precious or that which is the most precious. And again, this can be taken literally or figuratively. Other than that though, I haven't really been able to find any information regarding Gohar or amenegohar or anything related to those words in terms of like stories or like anything historical in real life or anything like that. So my assumption for this character are going to be very, very broad and very, very predictive. So in my opinion, based on the fact that this definition relates to someone that is precious or someone that shines like a jewel, I'm going to assume that this is, again, obviously somebody that is very looked after, someone that people look up to and people see them as like sort of like an idol in a way. And this is kind of proven with Safi because Safi loves Gohar. And she actually mentions that she explored with Gohar before in Sumeru City, I think, or that she went on Sumeru expeditions in general or with her. I'm not really sure about the exact details, but something related to that. And she exclaims that she misses exploring Sumeru City, and especially just being in the presence of Gohar in general. So obviously based on Gohar's description from Safi and Huad, it's very clear that this is a person that they look up to a lot, and especially the fact that Huad gives her the definition of the flower of Caravan Rabat pretty much symbolizes, or I guess illustrates, that Gohar is an important figure for those people. And so what I'm thinking that is that this person is possibly a descendant of some sort, could be possibly a descendant of the Deshret that's different from Kandake. Either that, or they're just someone who happened to find this old civilization and then somehow rebuild it with people who just happen to walk on by. I don't really know. It's really hard to make a prediction on any sort of descriptions for this person in general because there's just so little information. But it could be possible that if you took this definition in a literal sense, this could be a person who does trading in general or has some affair relating to merchantry and anything related to trading, deals, etc. because they probably like precious stones, they probably literally like gems and jewels. So this could be a very rich person or someone who is very wealthy and affluent. But yeah, honestly, that's really all we can take from this. Other than that, unless I magically find an NPC out of God knows where that mentions Gohar, even on the wiki of Genshin wiki, it literally it has no description of or anything relating to Gohar. So even the people over on the wiki page haven't even found anything related to this character. So this is probably someone that we're going to more likely see in 3.1 rather than being able to get any sort of description or idea of who they are in 3.0 at all, which I'm kind of sad about, but at the same time I'm kind of excited for 3.1 so that way I can interact with more NPCs and praying to God that we get some information about Gohar because I'm low-key kind of interested in this character now. And I also want to learn why they're such an affluent person and such an influential person in the Caravan Rabat in the first place. Alright, if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to give it a like and also subscribe to the channel for more lore content. Now, the video that is coming out, which is the Friday after this next Friday, is going to be about Al-Hatham or Al-Hatham. Oof, God, almost butchered it again. Now, this is specifically relating to Al-Hatham's ear device, and that's what the main point of that video is going to be about. So stay tuned. And until the next video, bye-bye.